Welcome to Circuitry 3.0. This is the coloring half hour with your host, Scott Van Orden, Svano, at Scott Van Orden. Look for me everywhere. Today's episode, we're going to be coloring a cover for my Other Worlds series of coloring books. Now I have currently 3 coloring books in the series, and I'm working on my 4th one right now, and this is the cover for it. This is also what you downloaded, and you're going to color along with me. This is a slightly bigger version, of course. This is a poster size, just for visual aspects for the show, and just to make it easier for everybody to see kind of my techniques and what I'm doing as I go. I've already started layering some red into the sky. What I'm using is the Faber-Castell watercolor pencils. I used those last time and it worked really well. Kudos for all involved in this last time and this time around. 3.0, it's going to be bigger, bolder, badder. And yeah, we're going to enjoy some tunes. These tunes are provided by Rabotat Records, and right now I have Integral 2 up for your listening pleasure as we go along. So let's color. Now, as I said, I'm layering in some red into the sky right now. And what I'm doing is laying in some lines to make it look like an electric sky. Basically, I'll be adding some reds, some yellows. Of course, red and yellow make orange. Color wheel. You should get one. Very handy. So with the yellow and the reds, they'll create oranges, and what I'm going to do is fill in the sky here with a little bit of all that action. Alright, laid in some red. Let's throw in some yellow now. Let's see here. My yellow. What I'm going to do here is go for a warm background. Okay, let's keep it simple. Basically your warm colors being your reds and yellows are going to provide a nice warm sky. I'm also going to do some of the city in some warm / cool colors. I can get into the transition a little bit more later, but and then I'm going to bring my foreground out with the cool colors. Little blues, some blues and some purples. And what this is going to do is it's going to give me a push and pull kind of feel in the drawing, where I talked a little bit before about how warm colors tend to be the more aggressive colors. Okay, so your warm colors, your yellows and reds, are going to pop, and your cool colors, your blues and your greens, are going to recede. So take a look at this guy. Look at that sky. Oh yeah. That sky is happening. You'll notice also that I provided a little pattern as I lay this red and yellow in the sky. I want to create an electric pattern. So what I'm doing is providing strokes of the pencil, diagonal lines, and I'll vary the line width, and I'll also vary it being shorter and longer. So the lines actually almost look like an electrical storm is happening. You're trying to create that visual with the process of applying the red and the yellow. This is good. And of course your longer strokes are going to come forward or appear to come forward, and your shorter strokes that you put down are going to look like they go back into the picture. So you have a perspective kind of thing happening. And that's what you want. You want to create a 3D look to a two-dimensional surface. Groovy. I know, Katie, I like the sounds too. Yeah. Now here's where some of the blending takes place, okay? Don't be afraid if your yellow overlaps with your red. So you're actually gonna create some orange spots in the sky. And that's a good thing. I'd also encourage you, you know, now that we're really into this thing, but if you don't want to do the red and yellow sky, go ahead and reverse the idea, and make a cool sky and make all your foreground elements, like the alien and the words, make them warm. You know, use yellow and reds on those. Totally cool. But I would suggest separating the colors. Whether it's warm background, cool background, you know, you want that separation. Things are looking good. All right, let's get some blues into this alien here. Now, if you're following along, you may want to change it up a little bit in the foreground. We've already made it, we're making it cool with the blues, but you might want to change your direction, your pattern that you're putting down with your pencil. This change of direction in the foreground elements will help bring those elements out a little more. In simple terms, basically the two different patterns that I'm laying down here will contrast one another. So you'll have one pattern for the background and you'll create another pattern for the foreground for creating a nice contrast between the two. I'm really enjoying this light blue right now on the alien. I think it's gonna really pop. Another thing to consider a little early in the process is that this alien probably has some, what I would like to call, bruising, or some different color features within the skin itself, right? So you're going to want to create some deeper parts and some lighter parts to kind of vary that skin tone that you're creating. This blue skin is going to have some fluctuations within it. So thinking about that, it's kind of a fun thing to do to make it pop a little more. Alright, so at this point in the drawing, I've laid in some light blue, some dark blue, some yellow, and some red. And we're really starting to see something happen here. You can see the dimensional change from like a 2D surface. It's becoming a little more three-dimensional. Don't be afraid to lay in. I always suggest starting light to dark, and that's a good thing to take into account. Know where your light source is coming from. I know the light source is going to be from these planets or in the direction bouncing from the planets. So if it's bouncing off the planets, it's going to be backlit. Your alien creature here will be backlit. So to keep that in account, I've added in some darker blues into the legs already, and you can kind of see it happening in the head, the face, some of the chest, because I know that that's going to be darker, right? Basically, all your light's going to be coming from the back of this guy. So I think it's looking pretty good, and we're going to get back into it. I like to go back and forth too. Just pick another area. Pick another area to color. That way it feels like you're getting more done. I'm feeling very accomplished. And I think I just said more done. That's okay. In the house. Sometimes I find it a little difficult to actually talk while I color. Multitasking, but hopefully some of these tips are helpful for you and you're enjoying yourself. I know I am. After laying in the sky, throwing some reds and yellows down, I'm really making some good progress here. At this point, I'm going to share a few pages from my next coloring book. And actually, I wanted to throw out a little thing for you guys. That picture you're coloring right now, what I want to do is gather all the pictures from all the viewers and have a little contest. And what I want to do with this contest is review all the submissions and then randomly select one of you to be the colorist and be featured on the cover of my new coloring book, Other Worlds 3. That's right. I will give you a color credit inside the book too. Alright, so now that we got some work done on the sky, and we got some work done on the alien itself, things are progressing. We're going to switch our attention over to the text, the title, Other Worlds, and a little bit of the building behind it. So what I'm going to do is go with a little bit of separation again, since our sky, you remember and have seen, of course, is yellow and red. I want a little push and pull on the title. I really want that title to jump out. So we're going to go with some cool colors on the titling, and that will kind of match with the alien being light blue and dark blue. So we're going to continue on with the outline of the text. The surrounding area in the text is going to be blues, and inside the actual text themselves we're going to go with the warm colors. So hopefully it all works out. Cheers. What I'm doing now is just working into the border of the text with the light blue.
What is techno? Like I said, it's something you have to be there to experience. So I think when they start to come to some gigs and they start to say, okay, I'm still not sure, but this is what this is. This is
and that will give us separation that we need between the sky and the clouds and the city, but still give us a look. Alright, so there's our outline of the text of our title, Other Worlds. Looking good so far. So I've added the light blue, then I'll go in and do a little bruising like we talked about on this guy. Here and here, some other areas with some darker blue. Begin bringing that out a little bit more. Like we referenced earlier, the backlight. This I kind of picture the title to be kind of backlit too. So what I want to do is have this border very similar to the alien, with the bruising and having some shadow play in there with that darker blue. That'll be along the border. And then we'll go into the title itself with the yellows and reds, so it'll have that warm feel in the actual title. Alright, that's looking really good. So now, with a cat on my shoulder, Azrael, kitty, we're going to go into the city a little more. We're going to delve into bringing out some of the different pieces of the city. There's also like a mountain range in the background. So that mountain range, I think, since we have a sky that's red and yellow, we'll go again with blues in the mountain range. And that should, between the sky and the alien and our title sequence now, it's really gonna have some nice three-dimensional qualities on the 2D surface. So I'm excited. Let's get going. So I know that my mountain range is going to be quite a bit in the back in this drawing. So I went ahead with the dark blue and threw that over the top of the mountain range. Did a little bit in the city too here. That's going to give me my depth that I'm looking for. You can go ahead and add darker colors if you know something is really in the distance, something's going to be far off, so that those dark points are pretty obvious to you. You can go ahead and kind of lay those in. Alright, so a couple of things worth noting here. We did the outline, we did the mountain range, we're starting to create some depth on this guy. So, let me show you real quick. Keeping in mind with the patterns, always going crisscross throughout the drawing, meaning that if your lines in the sky are going one way, consider your foreground element, your alien, your strokes going the other way, just for that contrast like we talked about a little earlier. Okay, so now on the city, the actual city part itself up through here, we have a few different layers going in the drawing. And when I'm saying layers, I just mean that there's a perspective in the city that you can see here, where there's bigger parts and smaller parts, and the smaller parts are receding to the back, adding to this perspective overall. So what I'm going to do is go in, I'm going to do some dark blue on some of it, and I'm going to do a light blue on some of the closer stuff. So the dark blue will be more of a background element, and the light blue will be more of a foreground element. And again, you're going to be crossing your patterns, crossing the streams, Ghostbuster reference. So at this point, I just wanted to add that right now, as we're doing the city and laying in those dark blues and light blues, you can go outside the lines a little bit. I mean, it's just the first layer, okay? So don't be so stressed if you go outside some of the lines here. You can see that I've already gone out of the lines, and I've been doing this for a long time. That's okay, that'll be covered up, so we won't even see those little boo-boos, as I like to call them, little boo-boos. Thanks for coloring along with me. I hope you guys learned some things today. I had a great time. As always, thanks again, Rabotat Records. You guys are doing great work. Thanks to all the artists involved in Circuitry 3.0. I know everybody really enjoys putting it all together. So, I'll see you next time.